big break since my last class, and then I had discussed about, you know, that we have already almost finished the fourth module. I will not say that we have completely finished the fourth module. The fourth module, there is a little part remaining. I have to still teach you people inheritance that I plan to do it today. Along with inheritance, then I also plan to complete polymorphism. Polymorphism is another thing that I need to complete. And then finally, I will solve the question papers, okay? But before that, what I will do is I'll quickly go to the question papers and very quickly execute some programs and show you from the question paper. And then I will go to polymorphism and inheritance, okay? So, right. So I'll share my screen here. I will share my screen and then you can see that what I have here is, I'll just first open the question paper where I have it. I have the question paper here. There it is. And then give you question papers. This is January. Yeah, this is the January question paper, and you know that we are doing module number 4. From the beginning only, I will go. I will not assume that I have done a few things and all that. From the beginning only, I will go. Now, this is my 4th module question. Okay. First is how class can be instantiated in Python. Write a Python program to express instance as a return value to the with members, width, height, corner, to find the area, center, and perimeter of rectangle. This program we have already done. Okay, this is January 7A. January 7A. I think we have already done. I'll just show you where we have done that program. I will show that program also. It is in MMAC Python, and then this is module number 4. Exam. What was the question? It was January 7A. Jan 7A. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the program that we had done. Remember, Jan 7A. To find the area, perimeter of a rectangle, and then we have to first explain exactly how to pass back an object from a function, okay, as a return type. So this is an example for that, which we have done it in the last week. This in detail we have done it. It's a very small program. It's not very big. Here we have defined 2 classes for a point class and a rectangle class. Center function was there, which will give you the center of the rectangle. Perimeter was another function which will give you the perimeter of the rectangle, which was nothing but the sum of all the sides. Area of a rectangle is another function. So these are the different functions which will give you the you know, the area, perimeter, and the center of a rectangle. Now remember that this is the function which is an example. Center is the name of the function which will return you back p, and p is an object of the point class. So this we had already done it in the last class. Okay, so 7A is done already. So I will close that. I'll go back to the question paper. So this one we have done. How can a class be instantiated in Python? This we have done. Now second, 7B we will see. Explain the init and str method with an example Python program. You know what is the init method and the str method. Init method is the constructor of a class. How do we define that constructor? We write underscore. We write first of all def, 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 followed by underscore, underscore, init, underscore, underscore, and then we write the parenthesis. Init method can take parameters also, no problem. So you can have any number of init functions in your class. You can have multiple number of init functions, but they should be different. One init function, if it is taking parameters, others should not take. Or if one is taking one parameter, others should take 2 parameters, and so on. So you can have init function. This is nothing but the constructor. This will get executed automatically when the object of the class is created. Then you have the str method. Why do we use the str method? If you want to give some string format of the class, if you want to explain exactly what is the class, so you can define that in the str function. Same way here also we write underscore, underscore, str, underscore, underscore, and then we write the parenthesis. And what will this str function return? It will return you back some string form of the class, some explanation about the object and all that. Okay, now remember the str method, the very useful method which will execute automatically when the str method is called. Finally, now that we have done these two, let us go forward and see what is there in the next question. In the same module 4, define polymorphism, demonstrate polymorphism with function to find histogram to count the number of times each letter appears in a word and in a sentence. So this is polymorphism that we are planning to do today. This we will solve it once we complete this topic. And then next is 8B. What is pure function? Write a Python program to find duration of time if start and end time is given by defining a class called as time. So this also you remember we have done. First of all, you have to define what is a pure function. Remember in Python there are 2 different types of functions. We have pure functions and we have modifier functions. And you know what is the difference? Pure functions do not change the arguments. Modifier functions change the arguments passed to it. Okay. Now, after you have defined what is a pure function, then you have to write a program to find the duration of how much time elapsed where the start time and end time is given. Okay, if the start time is 3 o'clock and if the end time is 4 o'clock, then the duration is 1 hour in between the start time and the end time. This is the program that we have to write. And I think we had already written this program, but it was not right. I want you people now to just see if you can modify this program and make it better. What is it? This 8B, Jan 8B. I think the program is here already. Jan 8B. Yeah, there I see it. I'll just open this program, and this is that program. Very simple. There is a function called as duration, okay, to which you have to pass 2 times start time and end time, and then it will find the difference between the two. What I did was I did end time hour minus start time hour, end time minute minus start time minute, end time seconds minus start time seconds. If I simply subtract, then I will get the duration. But there was a little problem here, if you remember. The hour was coming correctly. Hours was not a problem. But minutes and seconds were coming in negative. Okay, so there is a little logic that you have to apply here. There is a little logic that you have to apply here, and see to it that the minutes and seconds should not go in minus. Okay, automatically you should get the exact duration of time between the 2 times that we pass as parameters, start time and end time. So we read 2 times here, T1 and T2, and we pass that to the function. So T1 dot duration, T2 means T1 will get copied into cell, T2 will get copied into T, and then you will have to find the elapsed time. You can use built-in functions also in this, no problem. You can use built-in functions to find the elapsed time. Okay. So this program is already there. You can take a screenshot of this and keep it with you so that you can type the program and execute it and give me the correct result. We executed this program. The hour part was coming correctly. In some cases only, there was a little problem. For example, I will show you this. I will execute this program and show it to you. If I go to the command prompt, it is in Jan 8B. Yeah. So go to G drive first. So I went to the exam folder, and here I will execute this program. Yeah, Python Jan 8A Jan 8B. Yeah, this is the program. Python Jan 8B.py. I will execute this. So it will ask me enter the hour of the first time. Let's say it is 6 o'clock, and then minutes. I'll say it is 40. Okay, 40. And then seconds. I'll say seconds is 30. Okay. Now second times hour it is asking. I'll say 4 o'clock, and then I will say the time is 30 minutes. Okay, and it will say the seconds is 10. And see, it says minus. Yeah, what has happened is I've given the end time as a smaller time, and I've given the start time as a bigger time. So that's why everything is coming in negative. If I would have given it in reverse, then everything would have come correctly. The start time I'm saying it is 6 o'clock, and end time I'm saying it is 4 o'clock. So that's why it is coming in negative. So more or less, what the logic of the program, you have to give it properly. The logic of the program is so that you have to write it correctly. That you have to subtract. You have to give a bigger time for the end time and a smaller time for the start time as input. Let us type this once again. It is asking our first time. So I will say this is the start time. Remember, okay? So I'll put here 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 30 minutes. And 20 seconds. Okay, now second it is asking me. I'll say 9 o'clock. It is 9 o'clock, and then 20 minutes. I will say it is 40 minutes, and then I will say it is n times. This I will give it as 30 seconds. Okay, so the start time is 7:30, 20 seconds. 9:40, 30 seconds. So now you can see the duration is 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 10 seconds, which is actually correct. Okay, 9 minus 7 is 2, 40 minus 30 is 10, 30 minus 20 is 10. So that's correct. Okay, for some inputs, you know that it will give you correct output, but for some inputs, it will not give you correct output because you have to take care of the minus signs and all that. Okay, so but more or less, I will tell you that I told you that if programs are asked in the examination, please attempt the programs. There are steps, there are marks for the steps. If you write the steps properly, if you define the class, if you define the function, if you define 2 objects, more than half marks you will get here only. They will not worry about the logic. If the logic is correct, they should give you full marks. Even if the logic is wrong, you will still get more than 50% of the marks. Remember that. Okay. So I'm not telling you that you make mistakes in the logic. I'm telling you that if you don't know the logic, also at least start writing the program. Define the class. Define the objects. Okay. That is my message. Okay, now let us proceed and see after this, then what is, yeah, that's it. I mean, this January we have solved already. January, let us open now the question paper of July. Let us open the question paper of July, go to module number 4. And this is module number 4 here. And then you can see what is a class, how to define a class in Python, how to instantiate a class, and how members are accessed. This you know how to define a class, how to create an object of a class that I already have shown it to you. Then differentiate between class variables and instance variables. What is the difference between class variables? All the variables that you declare inside a class are called as class variables, and all the variables that you define for an object, you know, object level attributes and class level attributes. They are asking the same thing here. Class level variables and instance level variables are class attributes and object attributes. Instance variables means object attributes, which we define it outside. Initially, you know that we had defined a class called as point, and then we created object p1 of point, and then we wrote p1.x is equals to 30. So that x which we assign to p1 is an object attribute. And if you have defined a variable in the class, then it is called as a class variable or a class attribute. So you have to give that example and you have to write down. This we have already done. Remember, we have already done this class level attributes and object level attributes. Then after that, question number 7c, write a Python program that uses module datetime, takes birthday as input and prints the age and number of days, hours until the next birthday. So this program I think I've already written. 7c it is. If I go to this July 7c is there already. So first is it will give me my age. I've written a function. I'll return a function called as attribute here. I've written a function called as calculate age here, which will take birth date as input as a parameter, and then it will find what is my age and it will return me the age. Similarly, I've written one more function called as calculate days. How many days are still remaining for my next birthday? And then it is calculating that and then returning me back how many days are remaining for my next birthday. Then I'm only defining these two functions here, calculate age and calculate days, and then in the main program I read the day of my birthday, month of my birthday, and year of my birthday, and then I call the function calculate age, which is over here, by passing my birthday, year, month, and day, and then what I get back from what is the function calculate age giving me back? It is giving me back age. So I have to write a is equals to calculate age because it is giving me back age. So I have to write a variable name here. Some variable I have to write because it is returning in that something. So write a is equals to calculate age, pass my birth of date as parameter, and then I'm printing the age. Something like, let us say 36 years or something like that. So years also should get printed with my age. Now, similarly, I also call the function calculate days by passing my birth date as parameter. Calculate days, it is taking birthday as parameter, and then it is calculating still how many days are remaining for my next birthday. What is it going to return me back? The function calculate days is going to return me back how many days are still remaining. So that's why I write d is equals to calculate days, and then I pass the birth date. D comes, and then I simply display print date. Print d will display me the date, number of days to my next birthday. What is the name of this file? It is July 7c. So I'll just go there, clear the screen first. Python July 7c.py, and that is correct. Now it is asking me, okay, enter the birthday. I would say it is 16/08, okay, 1999 or something like that. Okay. So now if I say enter, then first it will tell me that I am 20 years old, and then for my next birthday there are 110 days remaining still. For my next birthday, 110 days remaining. So this is the program, okay? It's a simple program. You have to write two functions here, taking birthday as parameter, then count what is your age, and then you have to write another function to count the number of days for the next birthday. So you can just look at this logic. It's simple. Okay. It's simply today minus year minus birthday minus year. So you please have a look at this. I will keep all these programs. Okay, then maybe I will share this once the entire syllabus is over. I will share this programs with you people so that you can go through this. And you never know, in the examination, they may simply ask you to repeat. You may get the same question. They will ask you a question to write a program in Python to find what is your age based on your date of birth. They may ask you the same program. So if you're already prepared with this, you can directly write the program without worrying. Okay. So now after we have finished that program, now let us go to the next program. Write a Python program that uses date and time. This we have finished 7C. Now let us go to the 8th program in the July question paper. Write a program that has a point with attributes x and y. Create two objects of this class. Find the midpoint of both the points. Add a method called as reflexx. Reflexx method should be added to the class. Okay. What will this function do? It will take a point. It will take a point as a parameter, and then it will give the reflex of that point along the x-axis. Means what? The y has to be made negative. Y has to be made negative, like it is given here. If the point given is 5, 10, if the coordinate is x-axis is 5 and y is 10. If I say what is the reflex of this, the y should be made negative. That's it. If you have a point, and if you want to know what is the reflex of that point along the x-axis, then the only thing you have to do is just negate the y coordinate. So the input is, if the input is 5, 10, if the input is 5, 10, the output should be 5, minus 10. You should negate the y coordinate. Okay. If it is reflexes along the x-axis, if it is reflexes along the y-axis, then you should negate the y coordinate. Okay. You should negate the y coordinate. But they have said that it should, they've even given an example, 5, 10, if it is given, it should give you back what? 5, minus 10, because it is reflexes along the x-axis. Now I've written a program for this. This is 8A, no? This is 8A. So if I go to exams, July 8A, yeah, this is the program. So see, simple program is there, very simple program. I have a class called as point. Then there is a constructor init. Init constructor is there, to which I pass x and y coordinate. X and y coordinate that I put into the objects x coordinate and y coordinate. And then there's a function called as midpoint. There's a function called as midpoint. And what will this function midpoint do? It will take two parameters as two parameters, and then it will find the midpoint of the 2 points. And the two parameters is nothing but the points. So how to find the midpoint of 2 points? X1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2, and what x and y points you get is nothing but the midpoint. Similarly, reflex is there. The function reflex x is there, which will take only one parameter. And then what it does is it will only negate the y. So it will take the y coordinate and it will multiply it with minus 1. It will take the y coordinate of that object and then it will multiply it with minus 1. Why am I multiplying it with minus 1? Because I want to negate it. And then the reflex point is self x and ry, the new point, ry. Self dot x will remain as it is. You're not doing anything to it. Only the y is getting negated, so that's why you multiply that with minus 1, and then you get the negative. Now after that, what I do is I declare 2 points, P1 and P2. P1 is 12, 24, P2 is 13, 56. I'm creating 2 points, P1 and P2. So what is P1 x? 12. What is P1 y? 24. What is P2 x? 13. What is P2 y? 56. So I have declared 2 points here. Now I want to know what is the midpoint of this. So I do P1, I take the object P1, I take the object P1 dot midpoint P2. I'm calling the function midpoint, which is over here, you can see. I'm calling the function midpoint through which object? Through P1 object. So I do P1 dot midpoint, I pass P2. So P1 will get copied into self, P1 will get copied into self, and P2 will get copied into P2 here, and then you find the midpoint. And then this function will also display you the midpoint. The function will also display you. You don't have, the function is not returning you back anything which you have to take it here and then here in the main function you have to display. No. You just call the function. The function is calculating the midpoint of the 2 points and it is also displaying it there only in the function only to make it simpler. Okay. So similarly, what is the function reflex doing? It is not taking any parameters. It is taking only the self. Self means if I invoke this function reflex x through p1 object. If I say p1 dot reflex, okay, I'm finding what is the reflex of p1. So p1 gets copied into self. So self's, that is p1's y, is getting negated, and after it gets negated, I will display the x coordinate of that point and the y coordinate of that point after negating. So this is the output. Don't worry about why this is so big and all that. If you see print from here to here, it will get displayed as it is because it is written in double quotes. Then there is a comma here. Self.x is there because I want to attach that self.x to the print. Then I put a comma again. Then I put a double quotes and then I write comma because I want the output to come in a form of a point. That's why I write all this. Okay, so look at the print function. It is printing first reflex point is, it will display the x coordinate and then it will display the negated y coordinate. What is the name of this? July 8A. Look at this program and we will see. So Python July 8A. Yeah, July 8A. This is the program. I will execute this, enter. So it is not reading anything because I have already declared. You see here in the program. In the program, you can see that for P1, I have already said 12 and 24 are the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Similarly, for P2, 13 and 56 are already the x coordinate and y coordinate. I'm not reading anything. I've already put it into the program only. P1 is 1224 and P2 is 1356. Then after that, it will directly give me what is the midpoint of the 2 points. It is 12.5, 40. And the reflex point of P1 is what? P1 is 12 and 24, so it will become 12 and minus 24. You can see that the y coordinate is getting negated. The y coordinate is getting negated. Similarly, let us say I want to go back to the program. I want to find the reflex of P2. So I simply do P2 dot reflex x. Okay, P2 dot reflex. If you want to know what is the reflex of P2, that is what you do. So file, save, and go here, execute the program, and then you can see that reflex point is 12 minus 24. This is the first reflex function that I'm calling with P1. And with P2, when I call it, it is giving me the reflex of P2, 13 and minus 56. In this case, what is happening? It is negating the y coordinate. Okay, that is it. So this program is also there. We can have a look at this program, which is this program 8A, this one. And then after that, there is this new chapter, okay, called as, there's this new chapter called as differentiate between, there's a question here, Akshata, you want to ask something? You can unmute yourself and you can ask, no problem. Yeah, in the chat there is something. Okay, actually, I think that happened because of mistake. Okay, no problem, don't worry. So we have solved these programs 8A. Now 8B and 8C are based on inheritance. 8A and 8B are based on inheritance. That is what I told you. I'm planning to do this now. First of all, let me tell you what is the meaning of polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism. Let us see some examples of polymorphism. In the examination, they will ask you what is polymorphism. Give some examples on polymorphism. Let me tell you. Polymorphism, I had already told you that it is multiple forms. A single name with multiple forms. Single name with multiple forms is called as polymorphism. Poly is multiple. Phism is forms. Okay, multiple forms is called as multiple polymorphism. Now here there are so many examples of polymorphism. There are polymorphism at class level. There is polymorphism in inheritance. There is polymorphism in function names. So many things are there. For example, you have already seen polymorphism in most of the cases. You have heard about the len function. Okay, you have heard about the len function. For example, if I have, let us say, I have W, okay, let us say I have W, and if I say W is equals to hello, okay, if I say W is equals to hello, and then after that, if I say print len of W, okay, the simple program, only 2 lines of code. W is equals to hello, print len of W, okay. What is this len function doing? It will give me the length of W. And what is W? Or what is W? W is a variable of type string. You can see W is a string. W is a string. Okay. So now I'm saying length of W. Please print me length of W. I will save this program and see what is the output. Save. I will save it in MMSC Python directly, and I will call this as polyexample.py. Polyexample.py. Okay. So it is saved now. So I'm here. And then I will say Python only example or enter. So see, you can see the output directly. It says 5. Okay, so you can see I have W, which is a string, and then I said length of W. Okay, so it gave me length. Now see what I do. See what I do. I declare A, which is equal to your last 10 minutes remaining. I saved this program. Let us see what it says. Let us see what is the output. Look at the program and beside that look at the output. In the first case, W is a string. I can use a function len by passing a parameter. What parameter I am passing to len? W, and W is a string. What it gave me? The length of the string. Later on, I declared a list. You can see that A is a list. 23, 5.6, and hello. 3 elements are there in it. 3 elements are there in the list. So now I use the same function. I use the same function len by passing A as a parameter. What is A? A is a list. Remember, A is a list. And still it gave me the output as 3. It gave me the length of that list. Okay. So now here len function is a polymorphic function. Len is a function which is a polymorphic function which is taking 2 different parameters at 2 different times and still giving me the length of that. In the first case, len function is taking string as a parameter and giving me how many characters are there in it. And in the second case, len function is taking A as a parameter. It's taking A as a parameter, and then it is giving me the length of the list here. So len is the same function, but in 2 different forms it is working. In the first case, it is giving me the length of the string. In the second case, it is giving me the length of the list. Length of the list. So this is a very good example of polymorphism. A function len which is behaving in 2 different ways, taking 2 different parameters. In the first case, string is a parameter. In the second case, list is a parameter. Okay. Now, if I have to write these functions in my class, if I have to declare these functions in my class, okay, then I can declare multiple functions with the same name, but it should take different number of parameters. It should take different number of. I can have a function in my class called as add. In the first case, it can take 2 parameters. In the second case, it can take 3 parameters, and so on. So I can have multiple functions with the same name taking 2 different parameters. Well, let us do this example. Okay, see here. I can have a program. In which I define 2 functions with the same name. Let us say I define how to define a function. I say def add x comma y. So, and then what is it doing? It is doing print. It is printing x plus y. It is printing x plus y. And similarly, I have def add. Say I have 3 x comma y comma z. 3. And then in this case, what will it do? It will add 3 parameters, x plus y plus z. And now in the main program here, what I say is print, or let us make it simple. Okay, I'll just say a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20, c is equals to 30, and then I call add, and this time I will pass only a comma b. I will pass only a comma b, and then next time I will pass a comma b comma c. Okay, so what I did was I declared my own 2 functions. I declared my own 3 functions, 2 functions, add, which takes 2 parameters and 3 parameters. And then I declared 3 variables here, A, B, C, 10, 20, and 30. And then first time I call the add function, the first one with 2 parameters, and second time I pass 3 parameters. Now let us see how will this work. There is an error, it says type error, add missing one required positional argument Z. Because I call the function, and this is saying it is on line 112, this one. There are 2 functions. When I call add, it is now getting confused. Okay. Now, in fact, I was also not knowing. I thought that this would definitely work because there are 2 functions here. If I call this add by passing 2 parameters, it should definitely call this function because there are 2 parameters mentioned there. And when I call the add function with 3 parameters, then it should call this function. Normally, this is what happens in other programming languages. In other programming languages, if I do this, whether it is in Java or some other C also, it will definitely work. But in Python, I think there is a little different thing. Okay, I will have a look at this and then I will get back to you. One more thing that I want to teach people today is that I want to teach you the concept of inheritance. In Python, how do we do inheritance? I will come back to the polymorphism, okay, because I'm not very sure. I have not done polymorphism in Python. I thought this would work. But the first example which I gave you about len, okay, that is there in the textbook. I saw it from there. So the len example you can mention in the examination if they ask you, okay, what is polymorphism? Give an example. So you can give example of that len function. First time define a string, call the len function with a string. Next time define a list, pass to the len function the list as parameter, then it should be the length of string in the first case and length of the list in the second case that it should do. That example is fine, no problem. Now how to write, how to define your own polymorphic function is where we're getting stuck. I will get back to you on that. Okay, so we are getting stuck on how to define our own polymorphic functions. 2 functions with the same name, different parameters. How to do it in Python, we are going to see that later on. Let us see the syntax of inheritance in Python. Let us see the syntax of inheritance in Python. Very simple. I'll just define it here only. I'll file, say, save as, I'll give a different name to this. I'll call it as inh.py for inheritance. Okay. And then how do we do inheritance in Python? Very simple. First of all, you define a class called as shape, and then write something here. Okay. Class. And let us say if it has a function called as area, then you can have some parameters here. Even if there is no parameters, okay. Now let me just first tell you the syntax of polymorphism. There is a class called as shape. You want to declare a new class, okay, which should inherit from shape. So I say class circle. This is how we do polymorphism. Inheritance. This is how we do inheritance in Python. We define a new class. We write class, name of the new class. Into bracket, we write down the name of the base class. The name of the original class or the name of the base class. Normally we call it as a base class. And the new class is called as a derived class. Okay, the new class is called as derived class, and the one which we write it in the bracket is called as a base class. Okay, so remember the syntax now. Inheritance is done like this. Write class, name of the first class, the name of the new class into bracket, name of the original or the base class. And then we write the implementation for the second class. Write something like this. And here I can define some functions. I can define some functions. Define define area, and then since this is a circle, I need only radius. And okay, then I can write return 3.14 pi r square, no, pi into r into r. I think this is how we find the area of a circle. So I can have a function in the circle. Similarly, I can have one more class called as square class square, which inherits from shape only. And then here I can have this. I can define an area here also. Define area. And this area, remember, takes two parameters, base into height, base comma. Right here, and then return. So this is how we do inheritance. So we have defined a base class called as shape, and then two inherited classes called as circle and square. Okay, circle inherits from shape, and square also inherits from shape. Okay, now this is another example of polymorphism. Remember, this is called as inheritance level polymorphism. Inheritance-based polymorphism. Same function is there, area into the two classes, but they do two different things they do. Okay, so I will stop here now.